Hey, how you doing? Welcome into twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, and I'm joined by the man that we call Baby.
Good after morning, Graham.
I'll read.
I'm going to leave you for 2 seconds while I go and put the fan on.
It's a bit warm.
It's fucking getting hot in here, mate. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go and stick that on.
Yeah, so that you can see Bibby's just leaving up. He's in the studio. I'm from my home setup today, but Bibby is in the ICU studio, so it gets kind of warm in those rhinos because of all the tech. But for me, hey, how you doing? My name is Graham. I was joined by Bib. We are Ice Cream Uploads, and in true Ice Creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast. If we do say so ourselves, we are live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, where we go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. What the fuck? for a split second, for anyone listening to this on demand, Bibby is so much more immature than me, and I'm not immature at all. So
I agree.
So yeah, Bibby was running past the camera in his cell because why not?
It's got warming up, Graham. Do you know what I mean? I know it said it's warm in here, but the muscles aren't.
But when you did it the first time, I genuinely thought something moved on your camera, and then I thought, did someone just move behind me in my camera? That's why, if you'd have heard it, I went, what the fuck? But it was quite venomous as like a... I was about to turn around and be like, is fucking someone there? And then I saw you go past again for the second time. So.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Fast as fuck, boy. Yes, anyway, so we are Ice Cream Uploads. This is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, if we do say so ourselves. We are live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, where we go live most weekdays at 10 a.m.
Ish.
Nice. Ish. Sometimes it's a bit late, like today's 8 minutes to 3 in the afternoon. It's close to 10 a.m., but it's fine. Anyway, if you are watching the stream, please do feel free to get involved, as JMK's just done in the chat, as did Lake, as did Neil, and anyone else before. Please feel free to get involved, because the live stream is turned into a podcast, a video on YouTube, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, not even SoundCloud anymore, it's Amazon Music, and Google Play. Sorry, SoundCloud, get out of here. Get out of here. So yeah, please do feel free to get involved, because there's over 200,000 people that watch and listen to this podcast. It's probably a lot more than that now. We haven't done a number script for ages because we're busy, although we've only done like 6 scoops over the last few weeks, so maybe it's not, but yeah, whatever, it's fine.
Confirmed.
So yeah, please do feel free to get involved on behalf of the people that do watch and listen on demand. If you are watching the stream, sadly you will get adverts. We apologize for that. This is Twitch, where we record this. If you listen to the podcast on demand or watch it on YouTube, I mean, you get adverts on YouTube. You don't get adverts on the podcasts quite yet, but you know, we're kind of big deals. We're the #1 podcast in all of Bosnia and Herzegovina, so we will be getting ads left, right, and center soon. But if you watch it,
fact, by the way.
Yeah, that is a fact. #1 podcast, #1 video game podcast in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Fact. Don't know how. Don't ask us how. It's not something we set out to achieve, but it's what we did achieve. So there you go.
I think I mentioned Ed and Jekko once, and then that was it.
and it wasn't just that like #1 video game podcast in Bosnia and Herzegovina, #4 lifestyle podcast in Bosnia and Herzegovina as well, from one mention of Ed and Jekko. You fucking love to see this shit. You love to see it.
I've got my mum in my phone named Jekko.
You've got what?
My mum's name in my phone is
Jekko.
She's down as Jekko. Yeah.
Standard. There you go. It's keeping it in the family. That's how we hit these big numbers. So yes, we are live, and I was talking about adverts. If you don't want adverts on Twitch, you can subscribe to the channel on Twitch, and if you do, we appreciate that, because that money goes back into making the channel pretty and new and shiny and all the rest of that stuff. But a way of saying thanking you is by giving you access to one prize draw every month that we call the loot drop. One person every month gets a prize. This month it was one of these brand new ICU. Make sure you take one of these hats on, by the way, babe.
Yes, I will. I've got one on my desk, so I'll be sure to put it in my bag.
So this is, and take a curved as well. Take one of each, obviously. Well, this is the brand new Ice Cream Uploads cream hat. It's actually black and pink, not cream. It says cream on it, just for anyone that's listening on demand. Just, you know, don't want to confuse you. You might be thinking, oh, I've got some cream jeans and some chinos that'll go nice with it. No, it's a black hat with pink highlights matching the colour scheme of the channel. But it's a pretty sexy hat. It's a pretty sexy hat. Anyway, yeah, we gave one of those away last month. Maybe we'll do the same again this month, because there's a lot of people that want them and we haven't put them on sale yet. Only 2 people outside of ICU have these hats. That is Gaming Nacho and Wobbly Gamer. So yeah, you know, soon there will be. Speaking of which, there he is. There is Gaming Nacho. You love to see it. Mention the name, and he arrives. Nakakakakakahoo, says Neil, and I'm pretty sure that's how he wanted that to be read and not Nacho. He definitely wanted nakakakakahoo for sure. Anyway, let me jump into the split screen. I got a 24 kill game once I put on. Do you know what? I was telling Bibby, I had your stream on while I was watching that stream when the hat arrived, and I was like, do you know what? This hat is an investment and a half, because not only did I get a free Nacho t-shirt off it, but also we are going to be plastered all over YouTube. Wasn't it like fucking 20 kill bombs all day? So there you go. If you want to win all the games in the world, just invest in one of these hats that you can't buy. So yeah, don't ask me how that works. We haven't quite established that yet. Eventually we will be taking orders for these hats in the Discord, but just not yet. Nacho enjoying his day off. Exactly. Everyone does. Good afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Gagad. Facts for everyone, by the way, in the chat. Gagad is sexy. Confirmed. Do you know what is sexy? Not delays on your consoles. That's where we're going to kick things off. Jumping over to the video game news. Ubisoft's free-to-play shooter XDefiant has been delayed due to console certification issues. Thoughts on XDefiant, babe? Have you seen a lot of that?
I have. I actually watched Wobbles stream quite a bit of it whenever I think he had closed beta access, and I was genuinely desperate to play it. I feel like I've come full circle with FPS games, and I'm back into. I'm digging them again after not necessarily putting them into retirement, but I'm just enjoying them again. I feel like I put them away for long enough for them to be able to come back and be relevant again to me. So XDefiant, it looked a fresh take on the FPS franchise, and I was excited to be able to play it.
Very quiet there, Mr. Bibby, says Gagad. So I've just boosted my microphone levels up. Yeah, that doesn't work. That should help. Say hi, Bib.
Hi, Bib. If you need me to, I could just nip in there and turn the game back up again.
Nah,
too sad.
I had freedom on the fader this time, so you should be good. Yes, XDefiant.
I said this in the pre-show. Fucking hell, lads. You know what I mean?
Sorry, Gagad's the only one that pays attention. God,
Yeah,
honestly, Gagad comes in and just sorts it all out. Cheers, Gar. Okay, Gar. There you go. Nice. Anyway, okay, we'll start talking about XDefiant first. Then we'll talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage and Resident Evil games that are coming to the iPhone. What the fuck? I actually watched the iPhone presentation last night, and I don't know if it's some sort of streaming service or something. I'm not sure, because they were showing it as console spec playing. It showed like what Bibby was streaming on Twitch.
Yeah,
it was that same level. So I don't know what
I have a revised statement about something from earlier on, either this week or it was later last week. So yeah, that's something to look forward to regarding that story too.
Nice. We'll go full screen while Bibby does his apology. Like you get like a little column in the Sun where they go, "We apologise for being,"
in the face or something, just to get a tear going, and then maybe a death slap or something, you know.
Just want to finish my previous statement though, because I did stop, because I did mention the Sun. I was going to say we want to apologise for being massive racists or something like that, because it's the Sun and fuck that rag. So moving forward, after that we'll talk about Gearbox is rumoured to be up for sale as Embracer Group continues to fuck up the world of video games for no apparent reason. That's the gist of the story, but we'll come to that in a few minutes. And Football Manager 2024 has had its release date set for November. But for now, to kick things off with this conversation about XDefiant, I must admit, before I jump into it, this is written by Matt Wales at Eurogamer, by the way, that this game, if you go back through the scoops, I can't remember when it was a while ago, and I remember getting XDefiant, like the first look or the first mention of it, and I was like, where the feck did this come from? And I was kind of like, this sounds like it's going to be shit. It's a Ubisoft shooter, so it's probably going to be shit going off what we've seen recently. They just need to sort their shit out. But I haven't really seen much on it since. So hearing you saying you're watching Wobbles play it and you were kind of interested in it, and so anyway, nice. That starts to turn it around. However, it's not all good news, as Ubisoft free-to-play shooter XDefiant has been delayed due to console certification issues. Now likely to launch this October. The likely is in quote marks. So XDefiant, the Tom Clancy adjacent free-to-play shooter from Ubisoft, has been delayed out of its previously planned summer window, with the publisher blaming certification issues on Xbox and PlayStation for the game's slip into what what's now, quote, likely to be an October release. XDefiant, a 6v6 mashup of Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, and The Division, initially announced as Tom Clancy's XDefiant back in 2021, before dropping its prefix, has had a number of closed insider tests and open sessions throughout its development and was expected to get its full launch for PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC sometime this summer. However, writing in a post on Ubisoft's website, XDefiant executive producer Mark Rubin explained the game's continuing lack of a release date can largely be blamed on complication arising during Microsoft and Sony's certification process, plural, for their respective consoles. Quotes, at the end of July, we started this process and we got our first results back by mid-August, which was not a pass, Rubin revealed. We realised that we had more work related to compliance than we had anticipated. If it had passed, then we would have been able to ship at the end of August, but it didn't, and so we spent the last 3 to 4 weeks fixing those issues and getting ready to do another submission, end quote. Rubin added that a number of scenarios are possible after XDefiant is resubmitted within the next 2 weeks. If it, quote, passes cleanly, then the game, quote, could be looking at a mid to end of September release. But a, quote, likely conditional pass, end quote, would mean a day one patch with some final fixes to ensure compliance. That would push XDefiant's release to early/mid-October. Quotes, I know it's been quite a journey to get to this point, and I want to thank every single person that's joined us along the way. Rubin concluded, we really can't wait to go live and share our passion and love for XDefiant with everyone. Hope to see you all in game soon. Okay, I don't know anything about this. I don't know what this certification entails, because this changes so much off the back of this. Yeah. So is it like what compliance is it? Is it rating certification? Is it a case of there's things being said that are going to push it from a I always forget video game ratings, because where we work in the video games industry, we do stuff for clients in Europe and in America, and Europe has different ratings for the UK and Germany, and like you've got the ESRB, USIC, and so on. There's
Peggy. Is that a video game one as well? Yeah,
I think Peggy is yours, or is Peggy?
I think Peggy might be yours.
I can't even remember. I always forget. There's the ESRB, which is the European Standards and Rating Boards or whatever. The USIC or ESIC or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. There's multiple different ones. You get the point. But I always forget which one's which. The one I do remember, though, is films. So we'll just use those ratings, even though it's different. So is it a case of classification means that there's too many Fox mentioned, which changes it from being a 12 to a 15? And they want it to be a 12 so that more people can play it? Does it mean that there's too much blood and gore, changing it from 15 to an 18, which means that there's a lot more people that can't be playing it, which means that it will be digitally restricted to a lot of accounts, and they want it to get down to that point, so they're having to lessen blood bits or add more blood bits or whatever it is? Is it that, or is it actual bugs and stuff? I'm not 100% sure, but either way, whatever it is, those certification issues have led to the game being delayed. It is no longer coming out in summer and will likely launch in October, providing it gets the pass or clean pass or conditional pass, whichever one that is that it needs. Mr. Bibb?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just went to have a look then at Rainbow Six Siege's to see what theirs was. And they actually have it as an 18. So my immediate thought was it can't be any more than a 15 or a 12. But Rainbow Six having an 18, that's kind of took me by surprise, to be honest. But I don't know whether or not it will be down to the language or anything like that. It might be down to, I don't know, there might be drug use in there. I'm not them doing a little bit of Charlie off a workbench or anything like that. It could just be that they're using needles to inject themselves for a health booster or something like that. And that does get taken into consideration. It's not just, when you say drug use within video games, it's not just them doing hard drugs or drinking and stuff like that. It could just be as small as having a health kit or something like that. So 18 seems excessive. I don't think it's going to be anything to do with the ratings board, though. I do think it might be certification in terms of it won't meet both Xboxes and PlayStation standards across the board. Whether or not that'll be how the game's being distributed, uploaded to their systems, the way in which they will then get downloaded license-wise, how long you're able to own the game for, blah, 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 blah. all the boring stuff that we very rarely talk about on this channel because this doesn't come across all the time. Like usually they'll cover themselves with something like we need to add a little bit more polish or something like that, or we're having distribution problems. It's never really a certification issue, as far as I can remember. Anyway, I can't remember the last time that this kind of excuse was used
Completely
for a
new
delay.
For me. Yeah, same.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one. We don't have that much information to go off of, so we're kind of pissing in the wind with it. But it's happening sometime soon. It's happening within the next couple of months. So that's something that again I'm super looking forward to. Not just for the case of what we're going to be getting from a new FPS. The industry that me and you work in, Graham, I'm always looking for the next big esports game, and I cannot believe that Rainbow Six Siege is still leading the way in a lot of the areas. And I'm not saying that because it's a bad game. I just think that from a game from 2015 still dominating, and you can put CSGO in there as well, because obviously we have got CS2 coming in the very near future as well. So these two are going to be going at each other. Despite being very different games, they do hang around the same community in terms of people wanting to play FPS military shooters, if you want to put them in that category. So it's an interesting time for our FPS games again, especially with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 coming out. Whatever it is that DICE and Battlefield are going to be putting together, God knows what, whether or not it's going to be using sticky tape, fucking blue tack, who even knows, maybe even a Pritt stick, whatever they're pulling out their ass.
Multiple different things to unpack there. The quick one that I'll just gloss over is the DICE, EA DICE Battlefield something. They have to have something good eventually, right? I mean, EA, let's give them a bone. Let's throw them a freaking bone here. They fucked up Star Wars games and then salvaged Star Wars games and have made some great story games. And arguably, keeping away from the sports games, because I don't know enough about the Maddens and things of the world that a lot of people like Chappers or Lake or whoever will have opinions on. I don't know enough about that. But from the bits that I've seen from the action adventure RPG-ish into shooter games, EA arguably have made some good strides forward. They've done a lot to fix Battlefield 2042. Not enough to
game, by the way.
Yeah. You've said that for probably over a year now as well, so I believe you when you say that. But they've done enough to fix it. Nothing could have ever salvaged that. If you couldn't salvage Star Wars with a Celebration Edition, you were never salvaging that. You could save the game, but not give it a new lease of life. It's no second chances at first impression sort of thing. And the same thing with Battlefield. It will always be a shit game, sadly, 2042 at least. So, but they have salvaged that, and they did salvage the Star Wars Celebration edition of Battlefront 2, and they did produce a really great game in Jedi Survivor, as well as Fallen Order, which was Fallen Order was the start of the turn of the trend. By that point, Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 2042 were already in production. So you've got hope the next one will be decent. But then we come to this, and you've got Ubisoft, who've had a period of really bad games. Hopefully they're in their period of seeing the light, giving us finished games.
Salvation.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, less shite. And I mean that as in like something separate, because you've got Salvation of making great games that tick the boxes and are solid and don't have bugs, but also don't just have unnecessary shit in them. Because arguably Ubisoft still does that. Make a great game in Assassin's Creed Valhalla so they get their salvation. But then have you spending £10 to £20, whatever it was, to be able to speed up the fucking slow-ass grind to finish the game. It's like, no, you're enjoying it, it's great, but now you've just got to go through unnecessary slowdown because that's what we do. And you can get to the end faster by grinding double XP, which will cost you. And it's like, so you've turned it into pay to play, pay to finish kind of thing. Yeah. So hopefully they get rid of all that shit and XDefiant comes along. But I do start to have worries when it comes down to certification issues like that, because I don't know what it means. Nacho says in the chat, I've heard 90% of games fail the first submission. These are just being more vocal about it. That then kind of gives me a little bit of like, okay, well, if it's just them being vocal about it. But then I'm thinking, so why are they being vocal about it when nobody else does? And is that because they've done fucked up, but they just needed an excuse? And this sounds like a nice one to go with, because if everyone else has that 90% of the time, but isn't vocal about it, is that because they've done a better job of building that in? So let's say this game's supposed to come out in August. Well, actually, it was supposed to come out in summer. So yeah, August. It was supposed to come out in August, but it hasn't because they failed certification. Should they have put that in for certification sooner? Was it quite naive of them to put that in and expect it to float through, whereas 90% of other people get knocked back? So I'll probably put it in for certification April, May to get it knocked back, so they can put it back in June, July to get it in August for the second attempt-ish and going ahead. Because if that is the case, then I start to worry then. I'm thinking, okay, XDefiant, for some reason it's dropped the Tom Clancy name. Maybe this is Ubisoft going, okay, we need to separate it from everything else we've done before, because arguably, and this is not me being a shithouse, I'm a big fan of Ubisoft content when it works, but arguably, Ubisoft stuff hasn't been working for half a decade now. It's rinse and repeat. Do all of the same but faster and across all bases. You want a really shit Rabbids game? We've got one. You want a really shit Assassin's Creed game? We've got 3. You want a really shit something else? Yeah. Okay, what else have you got? Well, I've got a handful of shit. Which one do you want? Have you got anything that's not shit?
I can't believe how many people you would have just pissed off with all of those games that you're chucking out then.
But it's fucking...
I mean, a lot of them, you're absolutely bang on the money. I mean, I will go into bat for Assassin's Creed Valhalla because I genuinely thought that was a good game. It was the Assassin's Creed game that actually got me back into playing Assassin's Creed games, despite genuinely not getting on with Assassin's Creed 1 and giving 2 a chance. They're the only 2 that I have ever played. You burnt me twice with 2 games that I just simply didn't enjoy. So Valhalla, I thoroughly did enjoy. I don't know whether or not it was a change on the old mechanics or what. Enjoyable game. But across the board, I fully agree with you.
I mean, I could genuinely see myself sitting down and playing most Assassin's Creed games, but some of them will be, this is all right for an Assassin's Creed game, whereas good Assassin's Creed games are great general games. Oh my god, the experience of doing the first Assassin's Creed at that point in time, yeah, a bit samey. Assassin's Creed 2 was definitely the step up kind of thing, but it was new, it was different, it was cool, but then it just became, oh, jump off a tower. Okay, pickpocket that guy. Oh no, and then jump off another tower. And then, do you want to pickpocket that guy? Actually, no, fight these guys instead. Or kill that fucking whatever knight it is. And then, well, it's fucking just... And then look at it. And it's
whistling in these games.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but that's fucking what it was. Though. Like, you're playing it. It's like someone just... If they fast-forwarded your time in Assassin's Creed fucking Origins and Odyssey and all the rest, it would just be same. It would be that. You'd just hear pickpocket.
I can't believe how many hay bales there is underneath roofs. You know what I mean? Like, you'd think people would just clear this shit up, but it doesn't matter what period in time you are. There's always a hay bale underneath a roof somewhere.
But I'm a fan of Assassin's Creed in general. I like the film with Michael Fassbender, even though a lot of people didn't. I love the concept of the animus and all sorts of other bits that go in it. I love the idea that the present links to the the past, should I say, and you can influence your own storyline by doing things. And I love the whole concept of it. It's amazing. And it gives you freedom to go to Italy in the whatever hundreds, or to London in the fucking 1800s, or back to Viking times with Valhalla kind of thing. Wonderful, wonderful. And the game as a whole, that open worldy sort of stuff, appeals to me. But their Ubisoftness about it is what hasn't appealed to me. And Valhalla arguably is the best game that they've made, in my opinion, over the last 5 years. From caveat, I've not played it. I have not played it. So my opinion means jack shit right here. It's irrelevant. But going off of opinions of a lot of people that I believe intently, be that Bibby or Spike or a number of others that have played through games, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is an exceptionally good game. It's not just all right for an Assassin's Creed game. It's a good game. It's not perfect, but Ubisoft used to be the brand that made perfect games. Now they make all of the games, and my worry is we've got certification issues on this, but then we've also got Assassin's Creed Jade and Assassin's Creed Red and Assassin's Creed Yellow and Pink and Green, Purple and Orange and Blue. It's like we went from Ubisoft in their meetings calls going, let's kill all of our games so we can sit down and let's just figure out that you're not just doing stuff because you did it last time and the time before and the time before and the time before, using the same 5 content creators for 2 days at launch on the homepage of Twitch because they're the biggest creators in the world, and then nobody plays it ever again or talks about it ever again, and you do the same thing with the next one. they were like, no, we'll stop and we'll start and we'll play and we'll make sure that people have good experiences. And then the very next breath, it's like, and here's 5 more Assassin's Creed games on the way or whatever it is. It's like, but are you just doing the same thing again? so yeah, that's where my worries come from. That said, XDefiant, apart from having some weird name, XDefiant, like when I saw that, my feeling was the name's a bit shit. I'm not gonna lie, the name is a bit shit for me. XDefiant. If it was just Defiant or Defiance or something like that, but just the X, it's almost like Liberty X, the band that won Pop Idols or whatever it was. They would call themselves Liberty, but then someone had that name, so they got sued, so they had to call themselves Liberty X. So it's like, did someone already have the name Defiant? So you call yourself X Defiant? Is that what it is? Is it like XXX _ Quickscope 69 _ XXX?
Well, they obviously it was meant to be under the Tom Clancy moniker, which Tom Clancy's XDefiant. That's a pretty cool name. I think that's pretty cool. But you take away the Tom Clancy part, and it's just called XDefiant. It is very futuristic, which is obviously the appeal of the game. You're playing advanced warfare-ish type eras. So yeah, I probably would have had a small name change on there, but I don't think it will. I don't think it'll affect the marketing campaign with it.
Yeah, and the thing is, PUBG is a stupid name. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a stupid name. PUBG Battlegrounds is an even stupider, that's a real word by the way, name. But it works because it's ingrained into people's psyches based on its success. And the same thing with Fortnite. That means 2 weeks, and you've spelt it wrong. It has a G and a H in there rather than just ITE. But, you take your weird over-the-water spell and it's fine. And now someone mentions the word Fortnite to you, you're not thinking about 2 weeks because that's taking it over in your psyche.
Yeah.
So it could get there. And I completely understand that XDefiant could be a complete thing that just lives in my head off the back of the success of this, and I hope that is the case. I hope this game sticks to landing. Ubisoft get back to going, okay, do you know what, making good content that don't have exploitative season passes and don't have exploitative add-ons that just make you get rid of the grind and so on, and just don't have shit content with no real end game concept in. If this is that, then do you know what? You can call it whatever you want. As long as it works, then I'll happily get to that point. So at this point, I'm just picking holes because I'm not convinced in a brand that I used to have a lot of affection for in Ubisoft. Not that I don't have the affection, but I'm a realist, and I know that I have been proved to be wary of Ubisoft. So I am, naturally. I've learned to be wary of that. So hopefully...
Conditioned.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great word for it. Any game had a day one patch failed submission, apparently, says Nacho. XDefiant is being made with community comes first, said by their social manager team. It's also being made with the help of ex-COD pros who think COD never listened, so aimed at that player base. Yeah, I think that all that sort of stuff was in the first article. So when I was like, what the fuck is XDefiant? This name sounds gash. They've stepped away from Tom Clancy's and over that time period. I'm building all that up with but they're saying the right things, but things are now showing me that might not be the case. Now, that's not necessarily that it won't be the case, but it's that conditioning of failure. It is a Tom Clancy game, so it should be exceptional. I grew up where Tom Clancy games were phenomenal. The original Ghost Recon 2s and things like that, fucking loved them. Original Rainbow Six games, yes please. So... having the Tom Clancy name pulled off it was kind of a red flag, and other bits around it, this certification, also red flags, but I won't even say red flags, they're orange flags. They've got me going, we'll see. But at the end of the day, it's a free-to-play shooter, so we can all find out without putting a penny in. If it's shy and it's free-to-play, they're dooming themselves. So, taking all of that back... if XDefiant is a free-to-play shooter that is made by ex-COD pros that were never happy that COD listened, which was the same for a long period of time, Activision, for a long period of time, didn't listen. We got that advanced / infinite warfare where some people liked it, hated it myself, that period where they did not listen. But they are listening a lot more now, but even still, the people that may have jumped ship from that point in time, doing a community comes first approach, it's all the right things. So hopefully, if it is likely to launch this October, we get an absolute barnstormer in XDefiant and we can all have something new to shoot each other in. Let's go, baby!
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. We changed the name. Neighbour's dog barking. Is that from when I was doing the Assassin's Creed? I I don't think there is a space for arcade shooter respawn games. Give me more BR and extraction games.
I'm disagreeing with that. Unfortunately, I feel like we've got too many BRs.
Do you really?
And the emphasis was taken away from FPSs for a long time, which is, again, probably what filtered into my early statement about coming full circle and getting back into FPSs, because I feel like I got fatigued with all the Battle Royale games that was coming out. The extraction side of it I can get behind, because I don't think there's too many of them, or at least ones that are doing everything exceptionally well. But Battle Royales, nah. I like the 1 versus 100 concept. That's always cool. But
I feel like there is a significant space for BR, because there's not a lot there of credit. There is a lot of attempts, but beyond Fortnite, Warzone, PUBG, Apex, I know that's 4 big games, but they are very different audiences. PUBG crosses into Call of Duty a bit, but Fortnite is very different from all of those, and Apex very different. Although PUBG's crossed into Apexes now because do you know what? Build an ascender on it. Let's go, baby. But I feel they're all very different. So getting a new, I feel the most difficult area is copying Fortnite and getting something to compete with a builder battle royale. But people, you've got. What's it called? No build battle royale. So fuck. Who cares about building anymore? Fuck that shit. But like, so I do feel there is something in there that can compete with the boots on the ground shooter, the looter shooter battle royale. I do believe PUBG/Warzone. There is space for something to compete there. Whether that be another Battlefield or something, I do think there is something in there. But yeah, Extraction, I think will be the battle royale. We move forward 2 years, and then there's an Extraction version, an Extraction mode on Warzone. There's an Extraction mode on Battlefield when that launches next time. There'll be an Extraction mode on. I mean, there already is one on Call of Duty. We'll get one. The Crafton are working on an Extraction game as well. There'll be some other Extraction games that come and go and so on. So I feel we'll get to that point where Extraction is regarded as BR. The thing with BR is it remains a constant watch, a great watch, but the market has saturated and then kind of receded. Well, that's not the word I was looking for. We'll go for that one. The market has shrunk. That's the word I'm kind of looking for. The market has shrunk, so I definitely feel there is a need for a space for a new BR in there. Whether it's XDefiant or not remains to be seen, but yeah, whether it's a new Call of Duty experience or whether it's a PUBG 2 or not remains to be seen too. Warzone also doesn't feel BR to me. So many ways to respawn. Give me Blackout. You know what? Yeah. That is why Warzone is my change of pace. I really like Warzone.
Yeah.
And I really like DMZ by the same sort of thing. But the fast pacing, it's too clean almost. You drive over a boulder, you hardly notice it. You jump on a wall, you've instantly jumped over it. Loadouts, you drop into a game, you can get a couple of quid and you've got your full loadout on. And everything's just too clean and fast, which is great if you just want a palate cleanser, a change of pace. That's what I call it.
A dramatic change in pace.
Yeah, it's a shell shock of pace.
It's first to fifth.
DMZ is fantastic in COD, 100%. Hard agree.
Oh, God.
I mentioned this a few times. I mentioned it on the Scoop recently as well. We did a stream a few weeks ago. Just watch the stream where me, Bibby, and Wobbles finished a game of DMZ. My first end extraction point finish. Stressful as fuck, but possibly the best 30 minutes I've had on Call of Duty in about 4 or 5 years. Hands down.
I liked it.
So
it's available just as a small segment. I can't remember what I've called it, but it is very obvious as to what it is. But yeah, I highlighted just that one match at the end.
So Bibby's streaming it. I'm playing from home. Bibby's playing from his home. Wobbles is playing from his home. And it was just intense. Just dicking around with mates. Oh, we'll just see if we can get out. Clearly two idiots and Wobbles. Okay, 3 idiots then, fine. 3 idiots that knew what they were playing but didn't really know how to play what they were playing. Not to the levels that we could be. If we're playing a PUBG, we know everything. We play eFootball, FIFA, we know everything. We play Call of Duty, we know everything in theory, but putting that into practice, because we don't play it all the time, you see the cracks there. So that level of we know what we're doing but not quite sure how and why just added to the fucking confusion and the panic and the excitement at the end of the game. Genuinely really, really good. Really, really good. DMZ, exceptionally good. Big TDM with a BR end game. Yeah, exactly. Everyone dies. You die. Come back arena. Or we'll get you buyback and we'll get this. And then you get the battle royale. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The battle royale element at the end game of Call of Duty, it does add to it. I must admit, it does add to it in terms of if you've got there, you feel like, fuck me, it's taken some buying in to get to this point. But whereas I feel like I've earned that a bit more on Call of Duty, whereas I feel like I've looked my way, no, on PUBG, whereas I feel like I've looked my way partially to it on Call of Duty. Sometimes I've earned it, sometimes I'm just lucky to get there because other people have just been fucking respawned and dead and stuff while I'm just stood there going, so which backpack do I need? Do I need the big one or do I need the mid? How many?
That is literally me on PUBG. Like I'm so I like it. I just pick up anything to go on my guns. I have no idea what the best loadout is for the guns. However, finessed mine over on COD, so I know exactly what I want.
It's so easy to shoot on Call of Duty though. It's so easy. Like someone over there, I'm gonna shoot at them. I'm shooting at them. Fuck it. Even now on PUBG, just the other day, I was shooting at someone and I was just like, just like fuck, fucking nowhere near him. So shooting on it's amazing. The recoil control is just so much easier. Yeah, me. Best 30 minutes of G's life. Wife might disagree though. Ooh. let's. Twin guys, welcome in. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for the follow the other day. I could see that on the channel just there. Let me hit this one for you. It's not going to replay. Never mind. Didn't want it anyway. Screw you. Get out of here. I'm not playing it again. All right, do you know what? I'll give it one more try. All right, wait that time. It might come through twice. But we appreciate that. Anyway, so we've been talking about XDefiant. It is delayed due to certification issues. We don't really know what that means, if we're going to be honest. That might be good, might be bad, might not be anything. But we will keep you up to date because XDefiant does look like a game that we are interested in. So we'll keep you in the know. Tell you what else looks like a game that we're interested in. Well, we've just been talking about Assassin's Creed. That plus Resident Evil. But on the iPhone, interesting. This is written by Tom Ivan at VGC. It says Assassin's Creed Mirage and recent Resident Evil games are coming to the new iPhone 15 Pro. I actually watched this presentation last night. It's the iPhone event, the Apple event is what they called it last night, 6 p.m. UK time. Apple revealed its latest iPhone models on Tuesday, says the tagline here. So Apple has announced plans to bring several high-profile console and PC games to one of its upcoming iPhone models. The iPhone 15 and 15 Pro were announced during an Apple event on Tuesday, which can be rewatched below, embedded in this article. Capcom's Resident Evil 4 remake and Resident Evil Village will be released for the Pro device later this year. Assassin's Creed Mirage, which will be released for PC and consoles next month, is headed to the iPhone 15 Pro in early 2024, as is fellow Ubisoft game The Division Resurgence. Quote, iPhone 15 Pro gets a major performance upgrade from the A17 Pro chip, Apple claimed. With new 6-core GPU and a faster neural engine, it becomes a ridiculously powerful mobile gaming machine, enabling higher quality graphics and rich immersive game worlds never seen before on a mobile smartphone. Sribalan Santhanam, I apologise, I've probably done you a disservice there, but VP of Apple Silicon Engineering Group said, quote, we've added brand new features to the GPU like mesh shading, which lets games create detailed environments while drawing less power, and for the first time we have hardware accelerated ray tracing, featuring the fastest ray tracing performance in any smartphone. Fucking ray tracing on a phone, what the fuck? Apple's SVP of Marketing, Greg Joswiak, also said this new level of performance will enable new games for iPhone 15 Pro that were previously only available on games consoles, PCs, or the Mac. He added, this is the first time the console version of Assassin's Creed will be natively available on a smartphone. And I'm going to stop there because this twisted my head off. This whole event's going to be like an hour and 25 minutes long, so I'm not even going to try find it. Do you know, actually, they've split it up. Apple Watch, iPhone 15, 15 Pro. Give us the Resident Evil a bit. Where can we see it? You going to show us something?
I did just keep on scrolling through the timeline to try and find it when I first watched it.
Well, we've got the bits like Genshin Impact and stuff here.
It's straight after that.
So, yeah, you got Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4. We've got Tsuyoshi Kanda on the screen there talking about it. Look at these graphics. That is console graphics. And it says this is the first time console versions of games will be available natively on a smartphone. Is this literally what we can play on the mobile phone? Because if it is, that is twisting my head off. I thought when I was looking at this yesterday that we were going to be looking at the Logitech G Cloud, like playing Game Pass. Like X Cloud? I don't know what it's called now, but playing your Xbox remotely, mobile, Xbox, Microsoft Cloud, Xbox Cloud, whatever they call it. That sort of stuff on your mobile phone, because that looks fucking phenomenal. I mean, don't get me wrong, smartphones are expensive these days. 1,200 quid it costs for an iPhone 15 Pro Max. The basic model of the Pro Max is $1,200. So it is expensive. So for the price tag, you'd assume it can do a chunk, but it's not a native gaming device. But we are now getting console games natively on phones, and with those visuals, they look stunning. So, thoughts, Mr. Bibb?
Yeah, and this is what, at the top of the show, I said that there might be a revised statement from what I mentioned either earlier this week. I know we're on Wednesday, and I know we did a scoop on Monday, and I don't know whether or not we touched then on what the potential Switch 2 console could potentially output. I'm fairly certain it was. But I'm going to revise a statement now based off of that showcase yesterday. In light of what we saw last night and what I said earlier about a Nintendo Switch 2 probably not performing to a standard of modern day consoles based off of what we've seen with the Stream Deck, the Asus ROG Ally, the Logitech G Cloud, all of this other stuff. I'm gonna slightly redact what I said with that and change it just to try and get a better understanding. Now, I don't know everything about this phone. I have only ever had one iPhone in my life, and that was the 3GS. I think way back in like 2010 or something like that.
That's exactly the window. Yeah.
So that it is an awful long time ago. But from what I've seen last night, in terms of what Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Village look like on that, and the Assassin's Creed games, nowhere have I seen anywhere saying that this was going to be streamed. It emphasized the word native.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's in the App Store for you to be able to download it. It doesn't require an internet access to be able to play these games in any way, shape, or form. So if you're on a plane, you're going to have the opportunity to be able to play this. If the graphics are as good as what we're being shown in that video, then I have the handheld future is just going to be so glorious, Graham. Again, there's a lot of small caveats that come, well, quite big ones actually, if it comes down to the likes of battery life and how hot your phone's going to run having these kind of games and the power that's in the palm of your hand. I do have a lot of trepidation with what we're going to be getting with this. However, Apple themselves are the kings of simplicity. And I feel like that's a very negative statement to make, but I do feel across the board that iPhones are made to be the most simple yet effective method of having a smartphone. If you want to be able to crack stuff, get an Android. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're the at the forefront of opening your phone up, rooting it, and being able to use all the developer tools available for you. But if you want a very simple yet powerful device, you can have a look at all of the Apple products, whether or not it's an iPad, whether or not it's a MacBook, whether or not it's a brand new iPhone. I can't believe they're still making iPod Touches, but here we are. They're still making those. But they are simplicity themselves. You have an app store, the apps work. They've got the power within there. They have a fantastic camera. They have all of these features that between Android and iPhone, they're both sharing each other's things, and they might just go one up spec on one thing. However, disregard all of that. This is probably going to be better than your Steam Deck, which is a bizarre statement to make because I do think that is the market leader when it comes to playing AAA games in the palm of your hand at a decent frame rate, at a decent resolution. It's something that I know.
Ally says get in the bin, by the way.
Yeah, I know Nintendo guys are looking across the way at what the handhelds are currently on the market. Go, we want a slice of that. I don't think Nintendo will go that powerful in terms of what the processor that's in this newer iPhone is going to be, because it will cost a fortune. And I don't think Nintendo want to price their loyal fan base out of a world-class handheld, an industry bar-setting console, because if they was to do that, you're probably going to be looking at £700-800 worth of console in your hands with the amount of graphics and power that this Nintendo Switch could potentially be. I think it might be a small drop off, but I have changed my mind as to what the Nintendo Switch 2 could be. Rather than it being a low end PlayStation console, I believe it might maybe be on the lines of a PlayStation 4 Pro, Xbox One X, I think it was called, the Pro version. So yeah, I think the future's looking a little bit better 2 days ahead from the last statement that I made about the Nintendo Switch, because this, I'm not being funny, right? But this is the first time I think in recent memory that I thought, you know what? Am I looking at an iPhone next rather than having an Android? Because I love my Google Pixel phone. If I was to get a new phone right now, I'm getting a new Google Pixel phone. But this is turning my head a little bit, Graham, which is the first time I think I've ever contemplated since 2010 having a new iPhone.
So I've been an iPhone user since the 3GS, and happily so. I'm not an Apple fanboy, but I'm not an Apple fanboy either. Like, I'm big fan of what Android phones give, but there's not one specific thing that makes me feel like that is worth me getting used to a new OS. I've mentioned this before. So I stick with my iPhone because Android puts itself a little bit ahead, and iPhones and iOS put themselves a little bit ahead, and you're kind of in this weird dance where no one's really done anything that's reinvented the world for 10 years. So fine, I'll stick with it. Job's good, and everything I've got there now, it works, and it works with everything else. Job's good. Nice. But when it comes to marketing and upgrading things, I think, do you know what? It's the same phone. It's the same phone. It's the same phone. It's the same phone. And you always get the same shit. It's the A17 chip, which is an improvement on the A16 chip. Funny, because that A16 chip was an improvement on the A15, which is probably an improvement on the A4. And you keep going at that sort of thing. But seeing that visual of the games, and I watched through it again while you were talking then, the visual where you see Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 Remake, nowhere on that. I was looking in the bottom corner to say, for illustration purposes only, not real game, not actual game footage or something like that. There is nowhere where it says anything like that.
Yeah.
So legally, that has to be what you are going to be playing on your phone. And that just blows my mind, seeing that. And there's been a few comments in the chat. Tito says it's possible, the Division Resurgence. That's another game that they showed, actually, in the gaming on mobile phone segment. So they showed things like your Genshin Impacts and so on like that, and the Division Resurgence. But they are mobile games made for mobile and then moved on to other platforms kind of thing. This is something that was made for console and PC. And now works on mobile phone, and that's a very different concept and pretty exciting too. It is interesting because Bibby's not. I wouldn't say he's an Android fanboy, but he's definitely an Android user. Just like I'm not an Apple fanboy, but I am an Apple user.
We're in their ecosystem out. We're the same thing with PlayStations.
Yeah.
Like we've used it for that long. We have Google Clouds, we have Google Calendars, and then you have iCloud or whatever it's called on your side. Like, we're just in the ecosystem. It takes a lot for us to be able to move across.
The only good Apple device is a dead Apple device, John Wayne. Somehow I don't think that quote's very real.
I mean, it's been dead for about 40 years, hasn't it? And the rest.
So yeah, it is a significant statement. I mean, maybe there's a bit of Resident Evil in there that's pulling Baby over too, but it's a significant statement to see console level games dragging people's attention over. That is quite big. That is quite big, and pairing that with the VR-ish stuff that are available with Apple with their very reasonably priced VR device, it's fucking extortionate. But the Apple Vision or whatever it was called, suddenly you've got console games in a full VR ecosystem that gives PlayStation a little bit of something to sweat about now with its PSVR and so on. So this is, for the first proper time, Apple coming for games. Yeah, we've had the Apple equivalent of Game Pass with the Apple Arcade. It's all right. Whilst we did get a couple of big hits, it just became the same shit over and over again. Didn't really last long. Loads of people I knew 12 to 18 months ago talking about Apple Arcade. Nobody I know really cares about Apple Arcade. Genuinely, not throwing shade. Nobody cares. So you start adding console level stuff and you get that onto an Apple Arcade subscription program. Suddenly Game Pass is starting to go, ooh, okay, well, this is interesting. And then you get VR Scope and PlayStation are suddenly looking at it. This is Apple unintentionally going for both of the big console guns at the same time. So it's a very, very significant move. I do wait with bated breath, though, to see where we come, because you always get your big announcements. We found out that what's Google's failed streaming thing called now? Completely Stadia had Cyberpunk and GTA 5. Yeah. And then they were both delayed, and they weren't ready at launch, and they came later on, but they came after it was already dead because nothing else arrived. And Assassin's Creed Mirage and 2 Resident Evil games is not going to be enough to tempt the world over to mobile. So if they don't get anyone else moving over, then, yeah, it's... Okay, it sounded really good, but it's not really going anywhere. I am intrigued, I am interested, and I want to see where it goes.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely.
David said something. I did see it. I've lost it now. Something. I can't find David's comment. Oh, yeah. So iPhones are for simple people. I think he's calling you simple, Graham. He did. He said iPhones are simple. But he also said that if you want to crack something, then get an Android phone. So you're simple if you use an iPhone and a crackhead if you use an Android phone. So nice one, David. Yep, that was great talk. Home screen widget, that's it for me. I don't want to stare at a load of icons. I don't want stupid widgets, although there is widgets on iPhones as well now, by the way. But yeah, I want to be able to just fucking throw my other shit that I hardly ever use onto another page and just click the 5 fucking apps that I use all the time. And then when I want something else, even though I've arranged it all in folders, I'll just swipe down and type the first 2 letters of it. So
yeah.
So if I want to go Twitch, swipe down TW Twitch, click. There we go. Bosh. Even though Twitch is one of the apps I use, but you get the idea. Tito, I'm up to 700 weight and not dead yet. Fucking hell, busy day for fun, eh? Sheesh, Dunkin' Donuts be like, get this man out of here. Also, good effort. Love to see it. Oh, you mean on Starfield? Okay. It has to have a limit where it instantly kills you. What, you just carry so much stuff that you just, like, snap your own spine? Are you buying a phone to play an old console game at 7 inches at 60 FPS or 1200 or 5000 with it? No, I'm not, but people are. I mean, the VR is obscene. If you're not some sort of tech agency or a content creator reviewer or someone that's just got more money than sense, like Baby Two Lambos over there, no one's buying that VR thingy anyway. But iPhones, people are already buying that sort of shit, and people are already. I mean, even the PlayStation VR is overpriced at 550 quid for the tech that's in it. It's not. And for the tech that's in the Apple stuff, in theory, it's not. But in reality, where someone has to spend that money, get to fuck. There is no way I'm spending £5,000 on a phone and VR setup to play fucking Resident Evil. I could just go Watersolve Precinct. Fuck it, let's go. I've never been an Apple man. Tito doesn't like fruit, confirmed. Considering they're very popular creative types, I find the freedom of expression and customization they allow is pathetic. Also, their monopolistic ecosystem and anti-repair practices are disgusting. I do agree with the anti-repair practices. Completely agree with that sort of stuff. Big fan of where Apple's been going with the right to repair stuff. Big fan of that. I don't mind the monopolistic ecosystem because it's a double-edged sword. You get some phenomenal stuff with it. And one of the things that Apple, for the first time I've noticed them saying it in their conference yesterday, is Apple phones hold their value more than any other phones out there. And that comes not just as a result of the hardware, but as a result of the software. So it is a double-edged sword. That restriction gives you a very defined landscape in which you can operate. But when you have a defined landscape, you have a defined set of rules, which applies to pricing as well. So swings and roundabouts. You are right, though, and wrong at the same time. Same. Console games on iPhone, well, la-dee-da. We've had a duck hunt on Android for ages. Let's go, baby! I'm testing how much you can carry before it instantly kills you. Not an Apple person, but it's easy to upgrade from one iPhone to another. Same. Most hype is that it uses Type-C USB. Do you know what? That can get in the bin. That's not hype at all, because I've got fucking lightning chargers everywhere. I mean, like for my Apple products, my fucking AirPods, I've got a lightning charger, so now I have to carry fucking... They should have done it a million years ago, and that's where Apple is stupid, and their monopolistic ecosystem. The world said 10 years ago, we need to sort out this. We've got micro USBs, mini USBs, standard USBs. What are we going to go with? And the world went USB-C. And Apple went, yes, I agree, Lightning, and did their own thing. They shrunk their 16-pin down to a Lightning adapter because they were trying to be nice, but then were just dickheads. Let's be honest, shithouse move. They wanted to control their own ecosystem and thought, yeah, fuck it, let's go. And they were probably hoping the world would follow, whereas everyone else has gone, well, we can do all of that and more with a Type-C USB, so, nah, mate. The fact that they actually put chips in their components to reject genuine Apple components if the repair isn't done by Apple themselves, disgrace. Is that a true thing? Because I've had my Apple screen repaired previously with a non-Apple screen, and it was shit. Fun facts, it was shit. I was thinking, you wouldn't notice the difference, but you definitely did. The aftermarket parts just weren't as responsive. But it was repaired by an Apple-approved thing. One of those dudes that comes to your house in a van. He's basically got a little workbench in the back and then just fixes your phone. Job's going to do. Anyway, moving ahead. Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer says Gearbox is rumoured to be up for sale as Embracer continues to try and bounce back from a failed $2 billion deal. We'll be quickly over this one because we've got to wrap things up. But the report of a possible sale of Borderlands Studio comes less than 2 weeks after the closure of Saints Row developer Volition. Didn't get a chance to speak about this because I was off then and we've been catching up since then. But Volition, developer of Saints Row and 1,000,001 other games, it's criminal that Volition has been shut down. Absolutely criminal. This is why I'm not a fan of super buyouts in video games, like Embracer Group and Tencent and everyone that just comes along and tries to buy a bit of everything. Not a fan of that because you just soak up as much as you can, realise that none of it makes money, and then just get rid of it by any means necessary. It's horrendous, and sadly things like Volition have paid the price. And at the moment, Gearbox, which is not a little fish by any stretch of the imagination. So less than 2 weeks after the surprise closure of Saints Row Studio Volition, a Reuters report says Embracer Group is now looking to rid itself of Borderlands Studio Gearbox Entertainment, not through a shutdown this time, but a sale. 3 anonymous sources told Reuters that unnamed third parties have expressed interest in Gearbox. Nothing is carved in stone at this point, but the report says Embracer is now working with investment banks Goldman Sachs and Arim & Co. to explore the possibility of a sale. Embracer acquired Gearbox Entertainment in 2021 in a deal that was worth up to $1.3 billion. It was a highlight of a rapid-fire spending spree that saw Embracer scoop up Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, Tripwire Interactive, Saber Interactive, Koch Media, now known as PlayOn, and a whole bunch of others. But that seemingly unstoppable growth came to a very sudden halt in May when a previously unannounced groundbreaking strategic partnership worth more than $2 billion fell through at the last minute. Less than a month later, Embracer announced a comprehensive restructuring of the company that would include the cancellation of in-development games, studio closures, and sales, and of course, layoffs. On August 31st, just 2 months after the celebration of the studio's 30 years of operation, Embracer closed Volition as part of that program. A sale of Gearbox, which would provide a cash infusion and presumably relieve Embracer of its future performance-based financial obligations tied to the acquisition of Gearbox, would also seem to fit the goals of the program, essentially to help Embracer find more stable financial footing without the massive investment it had been counting on. We'll stop there. So Embracer was a big sponge, a vacuum that's just go. Anyone that's played like Luigi's Mansion, that is Embracer Group, just sucking all the shit up, and then realised, do you know what? All these coins that I've been picking up, that's nice to have an extra shiny gold coin in there, and another one, and another one, but now what do I do with it? How do I turn that coin into more coins? I don't really know. Each one will take time and investment in terms of man hours and money and actual cash to make it more cash. So not only have we just speculated, but we have to speculate on the speculations to accumulate even more. Oh, fuck it. We'll just close that one. Can't be asked with that one. 30 years of Volition gone. Okay, Gearbox. Yeah, we bought that for $1.3 billion. That's an inordinate amount of money. Okay, can we just sell that off? Yeah, nobody really wants it. Okay, fuck. Okay, well, we'll just try get rid of that somewhere else as well. It's just baffling that there's these massive money powerhouses that are so rich that they can afford to just throw away billions. And for them, it's just, we've just lost a couple of billion, /won a couple of billion, /saved a couple of billion. The money that they're losing from closing down fucking Volition, they're probably earning back in interest the next day, so they're probably not that fecking arsed. But for hundreds of people that have been making games there for 30 years, it's terrible, and it's a shame to see this, especially when you get to the point of billion-dollar businesses like Gearbox that make games like Borderlands. Terrible. But what are your thoughts, babe?
Yeah, I mean, Borderlands isn't going to die. I don't believe that Saints Row will die. I think someone will end up picking that up later down the line. I with the way and how abruptly the studio ended up shutting, I believe that this was already on death's door anyway. I believe that even if this game was 5 out of 5, 90% user critical feedback on Metacritic, like the works, I believe that they wouldn't have kept this going anyway. So it's shit. but these will bounce back. Like they end up losing a shitload of money, but they'll cut corners to try and make as much back as quickly as possible. Like you said, the interest rate that they'll end up getting, despite closing, will definitely cover any of the expenses that they would have to do to get these shut down in the first place. But even if there was to sell Borderlands and get it out the door, they're going to get a shit ton of money for it because it's still like it's an IP that's been going. When was the first game? Maybe 2006, maybe 2007, around that time. In fact, it might even be later. It might even be longer than that. It might be like 2008. But it's a unbelievable franchise, and we don't forget there's a Borderlands film coming out next year, unless it's been pushed back. So the IP still has weight, so it's still going to be worth an absolute fortune. But nothing's safe anymore, regardless of how big the franchise is. Nothing's too big to fail, and at a drop of a hat, your favorite franchise can just go down the toilet. Unfortunately,
yeah. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Hopefully, Embracer starts a new trend, and the fucking other businesses out there that are buying things up, be that the Embracer Group, be that Tencent, be that another business. There's the Savvy group of companies. So we've got Saudi Arabian businesses doing a similar sort of thing, buying up ESL and Faceit from an esports perspective. Obviously, Xbox and PlayStation doing the similar sort of thing. That media sort of conglomerate approach that's drifted over into video games. We have to be a corporation that has all of the things. Hopefully, this is the first time that we're seeing people go, actually,